Over the past year, we've been doing these cross-L2 interoperability initiatives. So we started really paying attention to this problem in the summer of last year.
That is an absurd workflow that's been existed like on the ETH side of things for years.
The issues can be outage. This happened with Arbitrum, and things can be higher rollback rates, which means that people are rolling back transactions for their own sake.
Ethereum has a problem that's not going to be solved over the next 6 months.
If these issues aren't fixed soon, Ethereum risks losing its position in the market.
What's up, Crypto Crew? Welcome back, or if this is your first time, I'm Captain Crypto Mite, actively escaping the matrix, scoping out the crypto ocean. So if you like your odds, get on the boat, stay up to date, thumbs up, and join the hunt.
Into the boat!
Crypto Crew, Ethereum has major problems. The other day, ETH founder Vitalik Buterin spoke at the 2025 Web3 Festival in Hong Kong about how to improve the cooperation of Ethereum Layer 1s and Layer 2s, and I almost could not believe what I heard.
The topic I want to talk about today is Layer 2s, and particularly how we can make Layer 2s and Layer 1 on Ethereum talk to each other more quickly. So today, withdrawing from Optimism or Arbitrum takes a withdrawal period of 1 week. This causes a lot of problems, and what we want to try to do is we want to try to reduce that all the way down to 1 slot.
So Vitalik Buterin is aware of Ethereum's problems, and there are multiple of them, which I will make another video or videos about the financial aspect. But in this vid, we'll camp at Ethereum's foundational issue. I was not aware of how slow transactions between Ethereum's Layer 1 and Layer 2 were. At the making of this recording, Ethereum is still number 2 on the crypto ocean, but for how long? Because ETH's problems show its limitations.
2025 is likely to bring favorable conditions for crypto. Potential regulatory support from the Trump administration could boost ETH's price, but that alone won't reverse Ethereum's struggles. The real challenge is that the competition is moving fast. Other protocols are quickly catching up, and Ethereum needs to address its structural issues before its dominance is further eroded. To remain competitive, Ethereum must adjust its Layer 1 and Layer 2 model to ensure it stays economically sustainable. It can't afford to wait much longer. If these issues aren't fixed soon, Ethereum risks losing its position in the market.
Based on what I've researched in the last few months, Crypto Crew, ETH's existence may be in jeopardy. Ethereum prided itself on being a first mover in smart contracts and ETH's ecosystem that have many developers build on still today. But competitors such as Kaspa are not only catching up, they're closing in on Ethereum, offering much faster and cheaper solutions. This is why I call Ethereum Kaspa's failing dad.
I want also to touch a bit on Ethereum, because I do think Vitalik is a great guy, not just because he made EVM, but also he sticks with the spirit of trying his best to do decentralization. By the way, Vitalik and Ethereum Foundation also cares about the hardware requirements and the level of decentralization, all factors, and so on. And what he shares with Kaspa's research team is that we all think we can't trust on the humankind nature, but we think promoting competition in game theory from economics is a better solution here. What Ethereum's strategy is that they try to use Ethereum as the only Layer 1, but to outsource computation and execution to Layer 2s. And this seems to be a good solution, but I challenge it. I think it doesn't work. The reason is because these L2s, their services are much centralized, and Ethereum cannot do anything with it.
Prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Know what you hold in Kaspa, Crypto Crew. Always remember to keep your crypto investments safe. Practicing self-custody is key, especially during the 2025 bull run. In my personal opinion, the Tangent wallet is your best option. Plug and play, easy to use, and the most affordable cold storage. If you wish to order your Tangent wallet today, you can get 10% off using code CryptoCrew. Link in the description box below. Thanks so much for your consideration and support in advance, and may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you all.
The first question that I want to ask is basically, why do we care about this, right? Why do we care about faster communication between L2 and L1. And I think for me, there's two reasons why this is important. One of them is just a user experience. Waiting for 1 week is a bad experience. And the other reason is we need Ethereum to be a more integrated ecosystem. One of the challenges in Ethereum right now is like we have these L2 ecosystems, and the L2 ecosystems have been scaling quite well. Their technology has been improving quite well, but there's a lot of challenges with fragmentation. And if we want to try to reduce those challenges with fragmentation, then like we need to do things to actually make Optimism and Arbitrum and zk Sync and Polygon and like all of these different parts of the bigger Ethereum world actually feel like they're parts of one Ethereum world instead of feeling like they're separate chains.
Again, this is why I say Ethereum is Kaspa's failing dad. Kaspa's foundation will not only be much stronger, it'll not only be more attractive for developers, including developers that are currently building on Ethereum. Kaspa's ecosystem for layer 2s will be much better for the Kaspa ecosystem itself, as Kaspa will be future-proof, something Ethereum will not be able to, especially not in its current form.
The way that ETH, the asset, accrues value is by scaling the L1 and taking those execution fees. You have to compete directly against the L2s to do that. If they do not, I expect ETH price performance to be sideways to down. The infrastructure on ETH doesn't tell you what you own. You have to find the contract address and you have to add the asset. Like that is an absurd workflow that's been existed like on the ETH side of things for years.
Comparing to the potential 51% attack you will see on Tron or Solana or Sui, because you only need like 50 or 20 people to do that, then on Ethereum, the problem is that they have no control over what the layer 2s are actually doing.
You're gonna see that Solana is much more prepared for the Web3 world, smartphones, etc. And Ethereum, it's stuck like 5 or 10 years ago in terms of UX. Ethereum has a problem that's not going to be solved over the next 6 months.
This doesn't speak of the financial aspect of it all. Again, I will do a separate vid on how many of the layer 2 projects that build on Ethereum basically robbed Ethereum whilst using the ETH network, and Ethereum can't do anything about it.
The status quo is depositing from L1 to L2 is pretty fast. It does take a lot of gas. It takes much more gas than it should or than it could, but it's pretty fast. Withdrawing from optimistic rollups requires waiting for 1 week. Over the past year, we've been doing these cross L2 interoperability initiatives. So we started really paying attention to this problem in the summer of last year. And the two big things that we started focusing on, one of them is chain-specific addresses, so the address should contain the chain that the address is on, and the other is intent-based bridging, right? So basically the idea is if I have 1 ETH on Optimism and I want to move that 1 ETH to Arbitrum, I don't have to go and wait 1 week myself. Instead, what I can do is I can put the 1 ETH on Optimism into a smart contract, and then in that smart contract, it automatically gives that ETH to whoever first provides a proof that they sent the 1 ETH through a contract to my destination address on Arbitrum, right? So basically, you're offloading the work of actually transferring the ETH and actually moving it through L1 to a separate class of market makers.
On Ethereum, the problem is that they have no control over what the layer 2s are actually doing. These things can be rock, the issues can be outage. This happened with Arbitrum. And things can be higher rollback rates, which means that people are rolling back transactions for their own sake. And this is not always about justice. This is about fairness, right? Because if I got something stolen, people won't roll back the network for me. And this is about the MEVs, about arbitrage, about sandwich trades, about liquidation, and ultimately means reduced fees for layer 1s.
The challenge is that liquidity is expensive, right? Basically, what we're saying is that if you want to move 1 ETH from Optimism to Arbitrum, then unless there are a lot of people who are constantly moving back and forth in roughly equal proportions, you're basically requiring some liquidity provider somewhere to lock up that 1 ETH for a week, and they're not able to do something else with it. So this is expensive. This basically means that, especially for larger transfers, transaction fees for going from from one L2 to another L2 are needlessly high, right? And so we need these things to be fixed.
The current market conditions create a lot of FUD, including for Kaspa. But if I were an Ethereum investor, I'd be scared because of its lacking foundations that are coming to the surface. Vitalik Buterin is aware of the issues, and soon the developers will be. And once developers find out they have a much better alternative in Kaspa, which is cheaper than Ethereum, faster than even Solana at 10 BPS without network outages, future-proof, scalable whilst being fully decentralized, Ethereum's right to exist will be held into question. Just because you don't see major price action for Kaspa at the making of this vid doesn't prove Kaspa is a failure. As a matter of fact, Kaspa is building strongly towards the future in the dark, not just for Kaspa itself, but also what will be the future of the entire crypto ocean. Experienced investors realize these are the times to study the crypto ocean, and in terms of Kaspa, it is important to understand what you hold. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good.
Stick around.
Fix your mind before you get to the grind. And with that said, let's continue to escape the matrix. Let's continue to be on the lookout for the next big thing here on the crypto ocean. Grow in grace, and let's make some crypto waves. Say aye.